Today, we're going to be looking at captains of industry. There are four men we want to focus on when we are talking about big businesses. And the first person is Cornelius Vanderbilt. So when you think Vanderbilt, think shipping and railroads. He's going to be the guy that transports everything to everybody, and that's how he's going to become rich and famous. The second person is Andrew Carnegie. So you think of Carnegie, think steel. He's going to be making the steel. He's going to be running the steel mills that are going to build the railroads and buildings and so forth. Remember, we talked about steel. Well, Andrew Carnegie is the guy um, that that is controlling all of that. Remember, we talked about steel. It's iron and coal, and add some limestone. Get a blast furnace, exposed to pure oxygen. Then you turn it into steel. It's very, very hard, very, very strong, able to make buildings, ships, railroads, all that sort of thing. John D. Rockefeller Oil. He is an oil magnate. He controls fuel. Standard Oil is his company. And then JP Morgan is about banking, that he's going to be controlling quite a bit of the banking going on here in America. Now, just remember, I mean, that's the main thing. There are some details about their lives where they got going. Um, and so people are going to debate whether or not these guys were good or bad. We could probably relate to it more if we think about people like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, um, who's the guy at Amazon. Uh, I'm drawing a blank here. um, Zuckerberg over at Facebook, Jack Dorsey when he was at Twitter, and now Elon Musk. These are the modern day captains of industry, and that's what these guys were back in the day, controlling a lot of the businesses in very few hands. And so the question is, how did they get these their hands on such big businesses? Well, they started off with their own businesses and they began forming trusts, and that's one of our vocabulary words here, a group of companies that join together to limit competition by controlling production and distribution. So you could see here that if Andrew Carnegie and Vanderbilt get together, just two guys, they can control all the steel and all the production. Andrew Carnegie can send him steel, make the railroads, and then he can ship the iron and the coal to his mills for a cheaper price. And so they can make deals within themselves or use whatever industry that they have in order to control the cost of their industry. So, for instance, let's say you are Andrew Carnegie, and you are running a steel mill and you're making a lot of money, and then somebody opens up another steel mill and they're doing better than you. They have a lower cost. They are able to not they sell their steel for less than you do. Well, then you're going to have to lower your price for steel, and that's going to cut into your profits. So what Andrew Carnegie would do is that he would buy the other company and just make it part of his company. And then once he bought enough of the companies for steel, then he could squeeze out anybody that had a steel mill. So again, back to our example, let's say you own a steel mill and Andrew Carnegie has a bunch of steel mills all over the country or all over the state. And you are making your steel and you've got a good price. Well, he lowers the price of the steel being made in your area and keeps the price high in other areas. And every time you lower your price, he keeps lowering his price in that area. Take, for instance, a gas station is probably a better example. You lower your gas prices, and then he lowers his in the area, and everybody starts going to his gas stations. And he raises the price elsewhere where he doesn't have competition. So he's able to make up the money by raising the price in other gas stations. And you can't keep lowering your price because he just keeps undercutting you in your area. Eventually, you're going to go out of business, and he's going to buy your business, and then he owns it, and then he raises the prices everywhere. This is a bad thing for regular people because, yeah, they'll have lower prices for a little while, but then the main person, the big business person, is going to raise the prices on them, and everybody's going to be paying a lot of money to this one company. And so that brings us to another vocabulary word, monopoly. And that is a product or business with only one seller who can control the price and availability. So if you are the only company that makes iPhones, let's say, you're the only one that makes smartphones, everybody's going to come to you. And so you can set the price at whatever you want. You don't have any competition that can lower their price, and then people start buying from them instead of you. So monopolies start forming because of these guys. They start buying out or crushing any competition in order so that they could raise their prices. Now, the argument about them being good people instead of bad people is that they are all philanthropists, and what that is they they help others by giving them money or providing volunteer workers. So they will donate to museums or art, poor people. They will send their money and create things that benefit everybody, and that's how they would contribute to society. The question is, did they do more damage by setting up these monopolies and making people poor in the first place, and then try to help them later through their gift giving? And so that brings us to the final part here. When does big get too big? Um, when you have that monopoly, when you have mono meaning one, it's basically just one industry controlling, or one company industry controlling the industry. Uh, they could charge whatever they want to people, and so if the iPhone suddenly went up to $5,000 per iPhone, what are you going to do if you don't buy that iPhone? There's no Android, there's no other companies out there. You have to buy that product, and so you have to pay their price. So this was a big problem, and in order to solve it, the U.S. government would step in and break up these companies and turn these like Standard Oil into several companies, so that they would once again compete against each other and try to keep the price down. So that is the captains of industry. Main thing here, remember Vanderbilt Shipping and Railroads, Carnegie Steel, Rockefeller Oil, and J.P. Morgan Banking.